So yeah, just make a note of it, the syntax. This is very important, okay? In interview, no, they'll ask you to write, okay, can you just write me one test case using data provider, they'll ask you. Just you need to remember the syntax. Here, test, data provider is the keyword. Just make a note of it. I'll show you people how you're supposed to do. Just make a note of it for type 1. We'll see type 2 later. Is it done?
Yes.
Just a second.
Okay, now we'll see the concept of data provider. We'll create one class. Right, I have created. Then at the rate, I have one test case. This is my test case. And for this, I have one method, public void data row test. I'll create one method. Okay. But here, the thing is, I want to read my user ID and password. Okay. So by using data provider, how can I read? So I have a syntax, right? At the rate data provider, name equal to, I need to name my data provider. Okay, I'll just do that. After this test, this thing somewhere it is here, at the rate data provider, open braces, name equal to, I'll give test data. Okay, so once I do that, what is next? I need to write one method to get the rate data, right? Public void data. I have named that and I have kept. Always they'll ask an interview what the data provider method returns. Like you have data provided, right? What it returns. In that case, you're supposed to tell it returns an object. Okay, so we'll do one thing, return new object, right? So in that object, what we are doing is we are creating two-dimensional array, multi-dimensional. Then we are passing a values, right? I'll just pass a values. I'll pass user ID, value 1, value 2, right? User ID and the password. Okay, user ID is my Rekha @gmail.com. My password is Rekha@123. Okay, now I have done this because it was a two-dimensional array. Just need to see carefully, okay? Else you can't understand. Okay, just separate it by comma and like open the braces and close the braces. Inside this, just write it again. Okay, open braces, open braces. So it is telling it is return type, right? Change it to object type. So it got changed to object type. Is it clear? This is two-dimensional two-dimensional thing. In one dimension, I'm giving user ID and password. I'm reading it. This is how you're supposed to keep. Understood, right? By seeing the syntax also, you can make the same thing, right? This is the syntax. Just you need to execute once or twice and you need to write and practice once or twice. This is important question. They'll expect you. But yeah, you'll get stuck here. Practice once or twice. Okay. So now how do I read the data? Inside this test, I have data provider, right? Keyword I have. Okay. I need to give the name of the data provider. So it is name is test data. This I give.
So this
Right.
name is anything we can give, right?
Yeah, this name anything you can give. This is your data provider name. You can give she data, anything that you would like to give. Okay. Now we'll just read the thing. System.out println the user ID is. See, for this you need little practice. Okay. In real time also, this is how they execute. I'll just take user ID. Okay, but I need to read this user ID, right? So user ID is my string user ID. Okay, so this is your user ID. One more thing, because it was two-dimensional, string pwd, right? I'll give one more thing, pwd. Okay, now I'll just see the execution if it works. I really wonder if it works or not. Okay, see, it is reading the data. You guys can make out, right? It is reading data one by one.
So internally it takes a call. I mean, we
Yeah.
are returning the object, two-dimensional object. Okay, and in that method, we are just getting the passing argument as string. So internally it is taking one by one and printing the respective output.
Yeah, correct. For example, this when we use, no, like as I showed you people like login test. If I want to test for 10 users, I have 10 customers. I want to check their ID and password is created. I want to check, okay, those 10 user ID and password are working correctly or not. In that case, we use this. So what was your question, Ajay? I lost it. Internally, it takes internally one by one. It takes first this thing and then this thing,
we
like
are returning, yeah, we are returning the object from this one, and the method which is calling this base data, getting the path argument as string one. So
yeah,
how come? So that
because
was
we are passing everything in a string way, right? It is in the double quote, right? See?
So it that method internally understand whether it's object, but you
Yeah.
have to get the content.
Yeah, I have specified here. It is a string. I have told explicitly it is a string. Also, I've given here it is in the double quote. It is a string.
If we have like 4 login details, then how we will write this?
Just again, you just separate by comma and give it.
Okay,
For
comma,
example,
then 4 login details, right?
yeah, login details. Just give it here, comma,
Okay.
separate
n
by your
number
name
of
and
entries, n number of entries will be printed by the data
yeah,
provider.
In the same line, right?
same line.
Okay.
Understood, right? It will do. For example, if you're using, this is generic I'm showing, okay, because I'm not so like doing the structure of my project or not. I'm not how I'm not creating my project. So in real time, how it works, if you're using login thing, right? You're writing your code for login next. Okay. Then you'll use this password. It'll use this part first time, it will take user ID password, it will do login and log out. Then second time it will take this user ID password, login, log out. You guys can try this. Does it is it clear now how it works?
Yes.
It will take one by one. It will take one thing, it will do some operation. If it has, then it will finish that, then it will go to second thing, vice versa. In the same way. Is it clear or any doubt still?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, but I want to make now the second thing is I want to make session is getting recorded, right? Okay, it is getting recorded. Second thing, type 2, what I want to do is I want to keep my like data providers in separate class. Just I don't want to keep it in one class. So we'll see now how do we do that. Okay, I'll create my separate class, run as, sorry, separate class, new class. Data for data. Okay. So I'm keeping in separate class. I'll just make this thing. So here, this is my class. How am I supposed to do what my syntax is? I'll have to create a with the keyword, right? So I'll just do one thing. Whatever I had here, I'll just note it this thing. Okay, I'll just cut it and I'll keep it here. Is it okay? But how do I read it here? How do I read? What my syntax says? My syntax says like in type 2, you can give that. Then I have one separate thing called inside the test itself. I can declare in such a way. I have named that. Then data provider class dot class name. What was my class name? This was my class name, right? Then I'll name it this thing. Okay.
Equal to dot class.
Equal to is missing, right?
Equal to. Yeah.
Dot class. Then right now we'll see what the syntax is inside the data provider. I'm giving the data provider name and data provider class. I'm reading it from the separate class because if you take it in real time, you can't code it here, right? Everything you can't keep it here. It looks so clumsy, right? So I'll keep my separate class and I'll just inherit that. So how do we inherit? By taking a data provider class equal to data provider class name dot class. Okay, I'll see the execution now if it works. See, now also it reads the data. Is it clear, data provider? It is so important.
How we create the XML file for this?
You don't need any XML for this. XML is other topic. So far, like whatever I have taught for data provider, no, you don't need any XML. If you just include this class in your XML, it will work. This class, this is your main class, right? This is your data provider is your main class, right? If you include this in your class and if you run your XML, it will work. It will do internally. It will come here, it will see data provider, it will call this and it will take the user ID and password. Okay. So any doubt so far?
If we simply want to get the first credential, want to perform some operation and then start with the second operation, I mean operation with the second credential, then how come that method will come to know? How come that will take a pause after taking the first credential?
Okay, you mean to say you have 10 credentials, among that you want to give like any 2 or something?
Yeah.
And for that one more concept we have, Ajay, like we had a Excel data read, right? That limit which we used to give.
Okay.
Data provider can be integrated with again Excel. One more is that is huge. So as of now, I don't want to take that much because I want to make basic strong. Okay. Then when we'll see for project structure, no, I'll take out all these questions again.
Just maybe the silly one, the one more thing.
Yeah,
just come to that. Just come to data provider one. If you provide the thread pool size and some count, so will that method will
That's very good question. That is very good question. Okay. Here also in data provider, you can make a thread count again. You implement and see that works. I just thought I don't want to make it complex because I know my students, right? How much load they can take.
Yeah, sure.
So I thought let them finish this, then we'll take the complex question later part. In the interview section we'll have, right? We'll take all complex one. But first be thorough with this. Anyways, complex things we have everything ready, we'll take it up.